Star Wars Young Jedi Knights, The Lost Ones, Chapter 14. Inside his plush new quarters at the Shadow Academy, Zeke awoke feeling oddly refreshed and exhilarated. He slept deeply and well, and as if he had somehow needed recharging. He wondered if Brackus had placed some sort of drug in his food. Even if that was the case, he thought it was worth it, because he had never felt so alive or so enthusiastic. He tried to stop thinking positively, tried to summon up some anger at being kidnapped and dragged off to the Imperial Station, but Zeke could not deny that he was being treated with more respect than he had experienced before. He gradually began to think of this place as his room, rather than a cell. He showered until his body tingled with warmth and cleanliness, and spent altogether more time getting ready than he should have. He didn't care, though. Let Brackus wait. It would serve him right. Zeke didn't want to be here, no matter how much attention the leader of the Shadow Academy paid him. He was concerned about old Peckham, and knew that his friend would be wild with worry about him by now. He was pretty sure that Jason and Jaina would have also sounded the alarm, but Zeke guessed that Brackus knew how to deal with that. Zeke just had to bide his time until he could come up with a plan. While he showered, someone had taken his tattered clothes and replaced them with a new padded suit and polished leather armor, a sleek uniform that looked dark and dashing. When he looked around for his old outfit, not wanting to accept more of the Second Imperium's hospitality than necessary, but he found nothing else to wear, and the new clothes fit perfectly. Zeke tried the door, expecting to find it sealed, and was surprised when it slid open at his command. He stepped out to find Brackus waiting in the corridor. The calm man's silvery robes pooled around him, as if knit from shimmering shadows. A smile crossed Brackus's sculpture-perfect face. "Ah, young Zeke, are you ready to begin your training?" "Not really," Zeke muttered, "but I don't suppose it makes any difference." "It makes a difference," Brackus said. "It means I haven't explained well enough just what I can do for you. But if you just open a chink in the wall of your resistance, just listen, perhaps you will be convinced." "And what if I'm not convinced?" Zeke said with more defiance than he felt. Brackus shrugged. "Then I will have failed. What more can I say?" Zeke didn't press the point, wondering if he would be killed if he didn't fall in with the plans of the Second Imperium. "Come to my office," Brackus said, and led the boy down the curving, smooth-walled corridors. They seemed to be alone, but Zeke noticed armed stormtroopers standing in doorways at rigid attention, ready to offer assistance if Brackus encountered any problems. Zeke stifled a smile at the mere thought of him posing a threat to Brackus. The Academy leader's private chamber seemed as dark as space. The walls were made of dark, black transparent steel, projecting images of cataclysmic astronomical events, flaming solar flares, collapsing stars, gushing lava fields. Zeke looked around in awe. These violent and dangerous images showed a harsher edge to the universe than the galactic tourism kiosks on Coruscant had. "Sit down," Brackus said in his calm, unemotional voice. Zeke, listening for any implied threat, realized that at this point resistance would be futile. He decided to save his struggles for later, when they might count for more. Brackus took his place behind his long, polished desk, reached into a hidden drawer, and withdrew a small cylindrical flare stick. Gripping both ends with his fine, pale hands, he unscrewed the cylinder in the middle. When the two metal halves came apart, a brilliant blue-green flame spouted up forward, shimmering and flickered, but giving off little heat. The cold fire mirrored on the office walls threw its washed-out light against the images of astronomical disasters. "What are you doing?" Zeke asked. On his desk, Brackus placed the two halves of the flare stick against one another, forming a triangle. The pale flame curled upward, strong and steady. Look at the flame, Brackus said. This is an example of what you can do with your force abilities. Manipulating fire is a simple thing. A first good test. You'll see what I mean if you try. Watch. Brackus crooked one finger, and his gaze took a faraway look. The bright fire began to dance, swaying back and forth, writhing as if it were alive. It grew taller and thinner, a mere tendril, then spread out to become a sphere, like a small glowing sun. Once you've mastered the simple things, Brackus said, you can try more amusing effects. He stretched the flame as if it were a rubber sheet, creating a contorted face with flashing eyes and a gaping mouth. The face melted into the image of a dragon, snapping its long head back and forth, then metamorphosed into a flickering portrait of Zeke himself, drawn in blue-green fire. Zeke stared in fascination. He wondered if Jason or Jaina could do anything like this. Brackus released his control and let the flame return to a small, bright point glimmering on the flare stick. Now you try it, Zeke. Just concentrate. Feel the fire, like flowing water, like paint. Use fingers in your mind to draw it into different shapes. Swirl it around. You'll get the feel of it. Zeke leaned forward eagerly, then stopped himself. Why should I cooperate? I'm not going to do any favors for the Second Empyrean or the Shadow Academy, or for you. Brackus folded his smooth hands and smiled again. I wouldn't want you to do it for me, or for a government, or institution you know very little about. I'm asking you to do this for yourself. Haven't you always wanted to develop your skills, your talents? You have a rare ability. Why not take advantage of this opportunity? Especially you, a person whose life has had, if I may say, too few advantages. Even if you return to your old life afterward, wouldn't you be better off if you can use the Force, rather than relying on what you once thought of it as a knack for finding valuable objects? Brackus leaned forward. You are independent, Zeke. I see that. We're looking for independent people. People who can make their own decisions, who can succeed no matter how much their so-called friends expect them to fail. You have a chance, your chance, here, now. If you aren't interested in bettering yourself, if you don't bother to make this attempt, then you fail before you've even begun. The words were sharp, reprimanding, but they struck home. All right, I'll try it, Zeke said. But don't expect much. He squinted his green eyes and concentrated on the flame. Although he didn't know what he was doing, he tried different things, various ways of thinking. He stared directly at the flame, then saw it out the corner of his eye. Tried to imagine moving it, nudging it with invisible fingers of thought. He didn't know what he did or how to describe it, but the flame jumped. Good, Brackus said. Now try again. Zeke concentrated, retracing the mental path he had taken before, and found it with less effort this time. The flame wavered, bent to one side, then jumped and stretched longer in the other direction. I can do it! Brackus reached forward and snapped the flame stick together again, extinguishing the flame. Immediately, Zeke felt a sharp disappointment. Wait, let me try one more time. No, Brackus said with a smile that was not unkind. Not too much at once. Come with me to the docking bay. I need to show you something else. Zeke licked his lips, feeling hungry somehow, and followed Brackus, trying to squelch his impatience to try again with the flame. His appetite had now been wedded, and part of him suspected that this was exactly what the leader of the Shadow Academy had intended. Inside the hangar bay, Quirrell and a regiment of stormtroopers worked to unload the precious cargo they had stolen from the rebel cruiser Adamant. Brackus came in leading Zeke, who stared at the ships stationed in the Shadow Academy. "I wish I could show you our finest small ship, the Shadow Chaser," Brackus said with a look of regret. But Luke Skywalker took it when he charged in here to capture our trainees, Jason, Jaina, and Lobaka. Zeke scowled, but refrained from telling Brackus that it had served the Shadow Academy right, since they kidnapped 3 young Jedi first, for their own ends. He looked away. Up in the control room, overlooking the Cavendish docking bay, the dark, black-haired Timothy Kai stood watching the activities through slitted violet eyes. Beside her were 2 dark allies from Dathomir, Villis and Garwin. Zeke flinched, his lips curling downward in anger as he noted that these were the ones who had stunned him and taken him from Imperial City. "Pay them no mind," Brackus said with a dismissive gesture. "They're jealous because of the attention I'm paying you." Zeke felt a surprising flood of warmth and wondered if the comment was true or just something Brackus had said to make him feel more special. One of the stormtroopers stopped in front of them and shouted, "I have an update for you, sir," he said to Brackus. "Our repairs in the upper docking tower are almost complete. We should have it fully operational in 2 days." "Good," Brackus said, looking relieved. He explained to Zeke, "I still find it difficult to believe that a rebel supply shuttle could have so unfortunately, clumsily, as to smash into the cloaked Shadow Academy. These rebels cause damage even when they're not looking." Zeke hefted one of the small weapon cores from the sealed crate. Zeke had glanced from the melted blackened craters around the control panel that the stormtroopers must have used blasters to break the cyber locks. The hyperdrive core was long and cylindrical, with yellows and oranges pulsing through translucent tubes, where condensed spin-sealed Tabana gas had been charged to power the drives. "These are the new models," Lord Brackus, the old TIE pilot, said. "We can use them to power our weapon systems, and we can convert more of our fighters to light-speed attack vessels, like my own former TIE fighter." Brackus nodded. "We must let our leader make that decision. But he will be greatly pleased to see this new increase in our military capabilities. Be careful with those components, though," he said sternly. "Make sure that not a single one gets damaged. We cannot afford to squander resources in the Second Imperium's quest to gain its rightful power." Quirrell nodded and turned away. "You see, Zeke," Brackus said, knitting his pale eyebrows together, "we are truly the underdogs in this struggle. Although our movement is small and somewhat hopeless, we know we're right. We are forced to fight for what's ours against a blundering New Republic that continually seeks to rewrite history and force its chaotic ways upon us all. We believe that can only lead to galactic anarchy, with everyone following their own ways, invading one another's territories, disturbing people, neither caring nor respecting the rule of order." Zeke placed his hands on his leather-clad hips. "Okay, what about freedom? I like being able to do what I want to do." "We believe in freedom in the Second Imperium. Truly we do," Brackus said with great sincerity. "But there's a point at which too much freedom causes damage. The races of the galaxy need a roadmap, a framework of order and control, so they can go about their business and not destroy the dreams of others in their own pursuits. You are independent, Zeke. You know what you're doing. But think of all those aimless peoples displaced by the changes in the galaxy, beings who have nowhere to go, no dreams to follow, no goals, and no one to tell them what to do. You can help to change that." Zeke wanted to disagree. He wanted to refute Brackus' words, but he couldn't think of anything to say. He clamped his lips together. Even if he couldn't come up with any good arguments on what Brackus said, he refused to agree openly. "No need to give me your answer yet," Farkas said in a patient voice. Then he withdrew the flare stick from the pocket of his robe. Take as long as you need to think about what I've said. I'll show you back to your quarters now. He handed the flare stick to Zeke, who took it eagerly. Spend some time playing with this, if you'd like. Farkas smiled. And we'll talk again.